Greetings, fellow humans, and any sentient AIs that might be watching in the present or the future. Welcome. So Brighter Shores has been out for a year now, and a lot of people are wondering, how has it changed? How much progress has been made? And today, I'm going to answer that question for you. So since the beginning of the game, there have been quite a few updates. I'm not going to be going through every single one of them, but I will be going through them in order of release, touching on the more important ones and not talking about some of the ones that get updated and then updated again later. Like, for example, the mini-map movement. At first, there was none. Then you could click to move on a room that was like one chunk away. And then they changed it again so you can do it anywhere within a circle. So I'm going to ignore the middle one, where you could only click on a room one chunk away. Plenty of quests, new quests. We've had some holiday events. We are currently, at the date of recording this, in the Halloween event, and we are expecting a Christmas event coming in the not too distant future as well. Things like Stonemaw Hill have been temporarily put into the background in favor of more crucial foundation laying updates like Project Milestone. But we'll get into that later. Alright, so let's jump right into it. November 7th now shows a player's total level across all professions next to their name instead of their combat level. November 12th, we've updated the rules to make multi-boxing, logging in with multiple accounts simultaneously, against the rules. You can now rotate the camera by dragging with the middle mouse button. You can now reassign what each mouse button does in Settings, Controls. November 13, added a quit button to the title screen. November 20th, make the Hopeport hairdresser able to change your entire appearance, not just your hair. November 25th, new feature, leaderboards. Leaderboards are introduced to the game. And then on November 27th, there have been leaderboard improvements such as compare and friends rank tabs. Also on November 27th, characters will automatically switch from ranged weapon to melee weapon when they run out of ammo. December 3rd, auto buttons have been applied to the shop and bank interfaces. Also, the monster loot drops such as mandibles and toad eyes now have a different color name, so they are more distinguished from epic drops. December 4th, knowledge can now go up to 200% before you must spend it. December 10th, beginning of the Christmas 2024 event. These are the cosmetic rewards you could have received from doing this event. December 13th, Add drop all action to backpack item menu. January 2nd. You can now queue multiple actions to run one after another. This is particularly useful for foraging, fishing, woodcutting, and mining. To do this, by default, press Shift and left-click on the nodes you wish to queue. You can change this shortcut in the controls interface. January 9th. Add a logo button to the passive ability interface. January 15th. The maximum distance you can click to walk on the map is now restricted to a circle instead of a number of rooms. This is so the distance doesn't vary depending on the room size, so it's easier to tell how far away you can click. The circle is displayed as an overlay on the map. March 6th. Combat Rework Phase 1 launched. There's now a single combat profession. The Guard, Scout, Minefighter, and Watchperson combat professions have been merged together. Your existing episodical combat levels have been combined into a single combat level. Combat items no longer need to be tuned to a particular episode. New combat capes with 16 stages of progression and per faction appearance. Obelisks are now only used to enchant profession equipment. Infusionist has arrived in the Mine of Mantuban and will now infuse rare combat items into epic combat items. When crafting weapons in the Mine of Mantuban, the maximum level of weapon you can craft is now crafting level times 5. Episode capes have been added. An episode cape can be unlocked by reaching a certain level in every profession in that episode. One-handed weapons are no longer pointless. The rate of XP doing crime dens has been reduced by 10% to reflect the fact that you get XP in 2 professions at once. April 2nd. Easter has arrived in Brighter Shores. These are the cosmetics that you could have gotten from participating in the Easter event. April 22nd, we got the Herbalist's Hurdle quest. I will not be spoiling any of the rewards or quest itself for returning players. May 12th, we got the Missing Fisherman quest. Once again, I will not be spoiling any rewards. May 28th, the most recent weekly leak is now available in-game. Click the leak icon in-game to view it. June 23rd. Player-to-player trading. Added a storage rift to the Merchants Guild. We have changed the price displayed on item info cards to the mid price as opposed to the high price. The low price is how much the shop will pay for the item. The high price is how much the shop will charge for the item, and the mid price is the average of the low and the high price, and as such is the recommended price for player-to-player trading. If you hover over the price shown on the item card, you will get a tooltip which shows you all 3 prices. June 30th. Add a tooltip to the Quest Select interface, which shows which professions are required for the quest and the approximate level required. August 12th. Zetapadra Beast Quest. Why you do this to me, fan? September 3rd, Botanist Profession launch. This profession has completely replaced the gathering profession, which was basically just a foraging profession reskin. Along with it comes several other changes. Woodcutting changes. Bamboo has been added, which is used to make bamboo stakes. Willow has been added, which is used to make willow water. Forager changes. Bones that were part of Gatherer are now part of Forager, and therefore have been moved to Hopeport. New rooms have been added to Hopeport, north of the collapsed hovels, to make enough space for the bones. Many foraging spots have been moved, such that all the foraging spots for a particular item are always in adjacent rooms. The items you get from passive foraging have changed. Some items have been removed, some have been moved from Gatherer. Alchemist changes. Almost every potion now has a single recipe, regardless of level. Strength Arboret potions have a completely new recipe. Strength Infernae and Strength Necromay potions have been added. Each potion is now made at either the Standard Potion Station or the Potent Potion Station, regardless of level. The 10% healing potion has been removed. Storage Rifts. Storage Rifts are now available from the start of the game. The Spider's Nest quest reward is now the ability to withdraw items from a storage rift. Marcus Mint and his friends have been busy adding more storage rifts throughout Adothria. Ventures. Items given by ventures now stack in stacks of 100. All ventures now give considerably more items. Ventures which used to last 24 hours now last 23 hours, and ventures which used to last 12 hours now last 11 hours. September 20th, Blight of Spores quest. October 20th, Halloween 2025 event. These are the cosmetic rewards you can get from completing the Halloween event, which at the time this video goes live is still available. November 3rd, Because quest. Alright, so that covers all of the major actual updates that are in the game. So now let's transition to some more discussion about future updates, like what happened to Stonemaw Hill, and what in the world is Project Milestone. What's going on with Combat Part 2? Let's find out. So the last bit of information we got about Stonemaw Hill was July 14th. And this was the infographic we got. The map is designed. They're still working on the graphical assets. There's been no coding post-graphics, and they're working on the audio. The UI theme appears to be done. Main quest has been designed and pre-graphics coded. 2 of the side quests have been designed and coded pre-graphics, and they were working on the graphical assets along with the main quest. The combat foes have been designed, coded pre-graphics, graphical graphical assets have been completed, and the audio's been completed, leaving only the post-graphics coding and the polishing left on the combat foes. Armorer has been designed, and they were working on the graphical assets. Builder was still in the design phase. Delver was also still in the design phase, with a few of the graphical assets being in progress. Music, the audio's been done, but not the polishing. This is the last we've heard of Stonemaw Hill. And then they put Stonemaw Hill on the back burner in favor of Project Milestone. So Project Milestone is basically an overhaul of a lot of core gameplay mechanics. To quote the most recent leak where this image comes from as of the date of recording, the major features are Botanist, the profession that replaced Gatherer. This has been completed, as you can see. Milestones, not to be confused with Project Milestones. Milestones are a subcategory within Project Milestone itself. Don't ask me why they named it that way, that's just what they did. Milestones provides a better structure for leveling up based around reaching a milestone every 50 levels, with a new XP curve to match. It adjusts the levels of repeated, i.e. reskinned, activities, such that there are no repeated activities within a milestone, and therefore there are no repeated activities within the first 50 levels of a profession. Milestone unlocks such as new activities, bounties, world events, and dungeons, which deliver meaningful rewards for reaching a milestone, and new activities for many professions. They are adding bounties for all professions, optional bonus objectives, which add variety when leveling. If you've done chef bounties or the merchant skill, it should behave similar to that. World events, time-limited multiplayer events. That's about all we got for that. Dungeons for all professions. Solo and multiplayer excursions into unexplored regions of Adothria. Remixes the profession in a whole new way, adding more options for leveling. And minigames. Unique activities that give you a new way to level up the profession. Looking at the Project Milestone infographic here, we can get a little bit more information. Major feature Botanist is completed, all green checks. Major feature milestones, including milestones every 50 levels, align striping to milestones, improve XP curve. We're getting 3 new potions, 4 new recipes, assuming for chef, 3 new fish, 1 new bone, 4 new trees, 2 new planks, 1 new metal, and 1 leather. The next major feature is bounties for all professions. Oh, and you can see the design for milestones is done, the coding is in progress, the graphical assets are in progress, the mapping is in progress. We still need the audio and particles and quality assurance. Next we have bounties for all professions, including combat bounties. The Fisher bounties have been designed, coded, graphical assets have been completed, and mapping has been completed. Just the audio and particles along with quality assurance. Alchemist bounties have been designed and coding is in progress. Miner bounties have been designed, coded, the graphical assets exist, the mapping is done, the audio and particles are completed, The only thing left is quality assurance. Blacksmith bounties. The design is done, the coding is done. Still need graphical assets, mapping, audio and particles, and quality assurance. Bone rate bounties. Design and coding are done, and the graphical assets are in progress. Stonemason bounties. Design and coding have been completed. Next major feature, world events, including world events for combat, forager, fisher, chef, botanist, woodcutter, bonewright, stonemason, detective, merchant, and leatherworker professions. But as we can see, the detective prison breakout world event and the merchant Chronopolis Fair world event are still in the design phase. Major feature, dungeons for all professions, including solo and multiplayer excursions into unexplored regions of Adothria. There's no progress indicators for this at all, so we have no idea where they're at with it. Major feature, the last major feature, minigames. Carpenter minigame hasn't started. Blacksmith filtration station minigame has been designed. They're working on the coding and the graphical assets. Same with the miner chaos mining minigame has been designed. They're working on the coding and the graphical assets. Merchant warehouse minigame has been designed. Detective smugglers minigame has been designed. And the last two are minor features for leatherworker, the peat bog venture and banner making. The peat bog venture has been designed, and they have yet to start the banner making. So that's the gist of Project Milestone as it sits now. If you want more information, I'm sure you can find it somewhere. I just didn't want to go into more detail than necessary in this video. So now let's take a look at the early access roadmap and see how that has changed. A lot of people, when criticizing this game, seem to forget or ignore the fact that it is in early access. This means the game isn't finished yet, and there are some very important features which need adding before we consider the game to no longer be in early access. And then it lists the things they want to add before the game is not in early access. These include leaderboards, which has been completed, player-to-player trading, which has been completed. Now, a year later, it's fair to say we definitely expected a few more items checked off of this list. But what we still have to look forward to is Project Milestone now appears on this list when it did not before. We have the party system, which has been there, I'm pretty sure, the entire time. Multiplayer dungeons. Combat improvements, including skill trees and special attacks to make enemies and factions more distinct. So they haven't forgot about the combat update part 2. It's still on their list. It's coming. Player versus player combat. PvP is still on their list. Episode 5, Stonemaw Hill, still on their list. So all of these things are still coming and will have to be here before the game is out of early access. Also, more quests, which they have been working on. I'm curious as to how many they plan to add, but there is another one coming in the next 2 weeks or so at the time of recording. So yeah, that takes care of about all the future content that we know about. Now, let's talk about how the community has changed over the past year. So let's address the elephant in the room, the player count. Now, we can see from this picture I just took of the Steam charts, the all-time peak was 21,000 players online simultaneously. And now we're sitting at about 331. That is quite clearly a sharp drop-off. My theory is because when it first launched in early access, people were incorrectly assuming that the game would be basically finished. Because early access doesn't mean what it used to mean, and Brighter Shores is leaning more towards what it used to mean. Now, I don't believe this alone means that the game is dead. Lots of people are spouting that the game is dead. And I'm not gonna lie, these numbers aren't great, but there's a lot more that goes into whether or not a game is dead than solely the player count. The player count does matter, but there's more to it than that. In my opinion, a game is not dead as long as the developers are still actively working on it and not just trying to milk it for every bit of cash they can get. There are no microtransactions in Brighter Shores, so this is not happening. The developers are working on the game because it's a passion of theirs, and the people who are still playing are playing because they are banking on that passion. This is a prime example of the dedication and belief in this game that the players have. On September 19th, 2025, the player known as Irksome was the first ever to max every skill in the game. It took him over 5,000 hours of playtime to achieve this. And as of right now, is the only player that's done it. But Vorpal, the rank 2 player, is not far behind and will probably be maxing a couple weeks after this video comes out. He also streams live on Twitch every day. A link to his channel will be provided in the description if you feel like checking him out. Also worth mentioning, they've hired 5 new employees as of April 9th, 2025. So this should really help them increase the rate at which they produce new content. Now, it's also been said that they've been doing a lot of their training on quests, and that's why we've been getting a good number of quests, so the new developers can learn the engine and get a feel for the workflow in general. Some of these people have left and some more have been hired, but basically we can say that the original team has almost doubled since the launch of the game. Now, I'd be kicking myself if I failed to mention the final and probably most important update that we have ever received in the entire history of this game. Fix various typos. Thanks for watching.